Hello, and welcome to Microsoft Hates Greg. My name is Greg Deckler, and today we're going to be talking about visual calculations versus measures in terms of performance. Now, we're going to be using the basis of this is a blog article by Jawan Kim, Jawan Kim's a great contributor to the Power BI community. Got no beef with him. Hopefully by the end of this video, it's not, I have to change the name of this channel to Jawan Kim you know, hates Greg, but we'll see. But this blog article was called out to me by a longtime follower, Eladio Bardelli. I'm sorry if I massacred that name, Eladio. I'm terrible with names. So Eladio, he pings me up on LinkedIn from time to time, and everyone's free to do that, right? I'm out there on LinkedIn. You have a question about something, you want a topic you want me to cover, just hit me up on LinkedIn. I'm always around. So Eladio called this blog article out, and he's like, "Can you refute this, this claim, by using DAX without the sinful, the sinful visual calculations?" So obviously, Eladio is not a fan of visual calculations, and and a lot of people aren't. But Juwan comes through, and he does a great job in this blog article of, here's my data model, here's how I created all the visual calculations. It'd been nice if he would have include this as not just a screenshot, but as an actual like code like he did here. But yeah, we could recreate it fairly easily. And then he gets down to the end. He does the same thing with measures, and then the performance results, right? Our DAX measures are, visual calcs. It's not quite double, but it's close enough, right? We're not going to quibble over that. So figured, all right, I need, first thing I need to do is get the PB. I asked Juwan for the PBX, but I just went ahead and created my own. It's not precisely what he had, but as we'll see, I think it does the job. All right, so let's get into it. VCs versus measures. So here's my file, VCs versus measures. I'll go through briefly what I did to recreate this. This comes up. All right, so advanced editor. So basically, pretty simple. List generate to 5001 to 5001, convert it to a table, rename some columns, added a custom column with just a random between 100 and 5,000, right? So it's a single table versus Juwan's model's more complex. But as you'll see, I think it does the job. Let's go ahead and close this. So I did the same. So I basically recreated the measures, right? So edit calculation. So here is Juwan's running sum by sales descending, right? And then if I click on sales, there's the all sales, and then the running ratio, right? Divide the running sum by the sales. And you can see here what he's trying to do is, he's got the running sum here, he's got the sales all, and then he's adding up a ratio. Basically like a Pareto analysis, essentially. So this kind of hit all kind of sides, right? Because I did a video on Pareto charts. I just did a DAX optimizing video with Marco Russo. If you haven't seen that, I think it's a great watch. And one thing that did not come up in that discussion was visual calculations. And in fact, I haven't come across visual calculations in the book Optimizing DAX by Marco Russo and Alberto Ferrari. And I don't know if they're included in there or not. If I had one major complaint about the book Optimizing DAX, it's that it does not include an index, which I know I'm probably in the minority on this, but I really appreciate a good index on a book because I'm a skimmer, right? And I'm constantly going back and trying to like, oh, I know this book had some stuff about this topic, and I can flip the index and go and find it very quickly. So kind of a complaint, but not a deal breaker in my opinion. That book is awesome. All right, so and I don't know if visual calculations are not included. If they're not, then I'm assuming it's because Marco and Alberto haven't done enough research on visual calculations, or that there's really no difference between visual calculations and measures in terms of how to optimize them. I don't know. Be a good conversation to have with Marco sometime, maybe in the future. All right, so I did the same thing then. Let's see. I have my sales measure right here, some sales or value in my case. I have the sales all measure, calculate sales all table product, or the product let's see, then we have the running ratio, right, which is divide the sales descending by the sales all. And then, of course, we have this guy, which is our calculate window and basically, our running sum, if you will. Okay, so that's the setup for this. Get this, get our performance analyzer, we'll clear this, let these things go. This is another example where I broke the performance analyzer multiple times. If it breaks and stops recording stuff, just close the pane and reopen it. That's how you fix it. Ah, quality. All right, so let's go ahead and refresh these visuals. Now, the measure table is the measure on the right, and this is the visual calculations table. I actually named them nice so we can tell. Seems to be taking longer than usual, but it's probably because I got Teams running and recording and all the other stuff going on. Okay, so as you can see, pretty similar results to what Juwan got, right? Not quite double, but pretty close to double. Let's do it again. In both cases, that's pretty long though. 11 seconds, versus 19 seconds. Now we're getting down to 8 seconds. 17 seconds, so double, like more than double, right? So I would say that my data model essentially shows, what Juan was showing in his blog article. It shows the same results, right? That the visual calculations are better than the measures and that are more performant. And to some degree, this potentially makes some amount of sense to me if I understand what visual calculations are doing under the hood, where they're kind of, I don't know, if I was design it, I would use the actual data in the visualization as my semantic model. I don't think that's exactly how it works, but information on visual calculations is still pretty hard to come by in terms of the nitty gritty and how they work. Maybe once they're not preview, then we won't have to worry about this. And I did have to first, I kind of skipped over that, but I did have to first go into Power BI, activate visual calculations because they are a preview feature. They're not production, and I don't use preview features by and large. I experiment with them from time to time, but I don't, use them in production because that's stupid. Why would you ever use a preview feature or beta code in production? That would be bad. All right, but the big thing about this is that Juan used calculate, which is that's a no-no, right, on this channel. Can't do that. It's not entirely true, but let's see what we can do with no calculate, right? So, okay, so I go to this no calculate page, and I don't think that was really a fair test, but let's let this complete. All right, clear this, stop. Let's get into this, and I'll show what's going on here. So sales, all no calculate, sum X, all table value, right? Let me zoom in on that before Eladio or somebody yells at me for not zooming in on the DAX code. The running ratio no calculate, which is this guy, running ratio, sales, and then this I have all the code in this one measure. So my sales, I do the all sales, right? Sum X all selected. Table, I filter all the table where the value is greater than or equal to my sales in the current context. Sum X across that, divide. Again, I don't bother using divide here. I just use the slash operator because all of sales is never going to be zero, so I'm not going to worry about it. And then I also have to add this if has one value because the total comes out wrong, comes out blank when I do it this way. So I have to do an has one value table product. Then I just return the ratio, otherwise I return 1. All right. So and then of course I have, where's my other, running sales. So basically that's my running ratio. This is my running sales because we do have all of those in this table, right? And I wanted to make it equivalent. So running sales by descending, it's basically the same code as you saw before, right? In my ratio measure. Okay, so let's give this one a whirl. And again, same thing. This is the measures. This is the visual calculations. I'm going to refresh the visuals. They're named the same. 8 seconds, 10 seconds. So definitely nowhere close to being double, right? A few seconds more. We'll give this one another probably 8 to 10 seconds, 7 seconds versus 9, almost 10 seconds. So, but as you can see, nowhere close to being double the performance gain. So it's just, hate to say this is just some crappy measures, right? Some non-optimal measures that Jawan used to do the comparison here. And probably some of that came from using Calculate. But all right, so anyway, so then I did another experiment with this, which is no Calculate 2, and we'll let this finish. Again, this preloaded, so you didn't even bother to run the actual calculation. Okay, so let's go ahead and clear this, stop, start recording. But the no calculate 2, what I did was I decided to refactor it so that I actually used my measures. I'm like, well, maybe this will help performance. I didn't really think it would, and I don't believe it does, but we'll go ahead and give it a whirl. 6 seconds, it's basically about the same results, right? Let's do it again. So again, it's still slower, but nowhere near double, right? And I'm not really sure we gain much in terms of performance. I'd have to put all 3 tables on a page, do a refresh to see if there was any real difference between them, but I would say there's probably no statistical difference between those. Okay, so let's go ahead and stop this, clear. We'll go to our last one over here, and then for this one, the same setup. Now you already saw that this is kind of a hint, right? The measure came back faster than visual calculation. But so basically running sum by sales descending 1 is the visual calculation versus running ratio no calculate. So, and I got rid of the other noise, right? The summing, the running sum, and all of that sort of stuff. And what I did was I decided to what if it was just one measure that did my ratio, which maybe that's all I really care about. And so if I go ahead and take a look at this, edit the calculation, as you can see here, I've used var statements to basically do my running sum, do my sales all, get my result, return the result. So basically, those 3 calculations just all wrapped into one calculation, if you will. And I did the same thing for, let's get back to the report. This guy has running ratio no calculate, which I'm using the same one that I showed before, right? It's the exact same one because I already had all the code into the measure, right? And as you can see, the performance is actually better with the measure. And we'll show that here. 8 seconds versus 9 seconds. So it's almost flipped, right? In terms of what we had before, in terms of the speed difference between visual calculations and measures. Let's do this again. 6 seconds versus 7.5 seconds, right? So, something struck me when I was going through, and I only spent about 20 minutes doing, setting this all up, creating these measures and doing all this, right? I haven't spent a lot of time optimizing anything. I am no DAX optimization, guru. I am working my way through the book optimizing DAX, but I haven't even gone through and done that level of research where I've opened this up into DAX Studio and gone through and seen what the storage engine plans are and what the query plans are, anything like that. I haven't done any of that work. I just literally just threw this together. And something strikes me out of the conversation I had with Marco the other day, where Marco kind of, he expressed a bit of frustration, I guess you could say, with, hey, people put these blog articles out there and then it's this, hey, in this specific scenario, this is more performant than this other thing. But it's, what he was warning about, I think, is be careful of drawing broad conclusions over that. And I think this analysis kind of demonstrates that, right? Okay, yes, if you compare visual level calculations to bad, non-performant DAX measures, yes, they're twice as fast. If you compare them to relatively performant, not even, fully optimized, I would say, then it's not the case, right? And not in all and it doesn't hold true in all cases, right? Again, I didn't do this with the calculate version. I don't know how that analysis would come out, but it's not true that visual calculations are are always twice as fast as measures, right? It's just it's a bad conclusion to draw. So, you know, you got again, not trying to pick a beef with Jawan Kim. He wrote a great blog article. It was interesting analysis, but be careful drawing any broad conclusions from that blog article, if you will. So that is all I had for this video. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.